So now let's welcome our next speaker, Dr. Ruchi Raj Thakur. Our next resource person and a speaker is a scholar par excellence. Dr. Ruchi Raj Thakur is working as an assistant professor of English at Himachal Pradesh National Law University, Shimla, since October 2016. She has a teaching experience of 11 years and 9 months. She is a former student of Himachal Pradesh University, Shimla, where she pursued MA English and her MPhil and PhD from Himachal Pradesh University on history, culture, and social commitment in Yashpal's selected works. Diaspora, expatriate writing, and social issues pertaining to underprivileged, disregarded, and oppressed sections of society have been her areas of research. She is also exploring newly founded synthesis of literature and history, literature and law. She has to her credit many research papers published in national, online, and offline journals. She has vehemently opposed certain social shenanigans by writing various chapters, which have been published in various edited books. She has also presented papers in several national and international seminars, conferences organized in India. She has also translated a book originally written in Hindi, which is titled Adivasi Abhyukti, Woes of Adivasi, a long expression of unacknowledged tribal existence. She has worked as assistant professor in School of Basic Sciences and Language Department of Communication Skills at Bahra University. She was a member of the finishing school established by Bahra University with an objective to groom the overall personality of the students and to prepare them for job interviews. She has also worked as a counselor in IGNOU for FEG and MEG programs offered by from September 2010 to 2012. Also, a member of advisory board of Avasthi Group of Institutions at Nalagarh. She has been the co-coordinator of the Center for Child and Women Studies as Himachal Pradesh National Law University. So, ma'am, I welcome you to the session, and now session is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those words for me. That makes me realize that I have a long way to go ahead, uh, and I have to do a lot. So maybe I need to take the roads I've not taken yet. So with this, I would like to start my today's deliberation on. Uh, Let me just share the slide. I hope you can see the slides. I've shared a PPT.
Yes,
Can
ma'am, it's visible.
All right. Uh,
Yes.
so yes, I mean, uh, I would be delighted if you call me a social activist, and so I've chosen today's topic, where I've juxtaposed language and society, and language, how language plays a vital role, or it is instrumental in bringing a social change, because this is what I think. I mean, this is how we should use language to bring a change, or to correct something which is incorrect, to correct the wrong, to replace the vices with virtues through the medium of language. So, I mean, but I would request the audience to be a little responsive, because my first slide would, I mean, that compels you to share your opinion about. There are three questions that I've put on the first slide. What do you think? What which component has come first, society or language? Like you must have heard the chicken and egg story, which has come first. I mean, we also know that there are few questions which do not have answers, but I would still like to know what is your opinion. Which one, which component do you believe must have come first, followed by the other component? So, if I could get answer to this, I hope my audience is here. The dear learners are here, and they would reinforce me by responding. Anyone?
Ma'am, I would like to speak.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. From my point of view, the language comes first because with the help of language, we can interact with the society.
All right. Uh, Thank you so much for your response. Let's move on to I'll answer the questions. As I've said, I've already stated that there are few questions which do not have, answers, and I'll tell you why. Moving on to the second question, uh, and I would really seek a response here too. Uh, Do you sh- uh, do you shape your perspective of society through the lens of your language or through the use of language, or is your language altered by culture, society in which you live? I mean, what is your opinion to this? Do you think the perspective of society is put it is conveyed through language, through words, or it is the language which is altered or which is influenced by society in which we dwell? So if anybody could answer this one. uh, is there anyone who could answer this? Any
Ma'am,
guesses? Yeah.
I will try to answer this. So, what
Yeah.
do I feel is that language has the capacity to alter our culture and society where we live, because language is all powerful in that way.
Yeah. True, very true. uh, But we cannot deny that our language is also altered by the social compulsions or by the social restraints or limitations. Uh, uh, because, you know, they both collate, they both exist together, they cannot exist separately, they are indispensable to each other. uh, this is what I'm going to talk about in this whole, for 1 hour. In my whole session, I'm going to talk about this and discussing the power of words, how powerful our words are, and how can they change the world, and they can make us reach the world we always envision. Moving to the third question. Uh, Actually, I'm trying to take you to the topic. So, my third question is, how are we different from animals? We are called social animals, but how are we different from them? How are we not animals, but yes, we are social animals? I'm sure, when we were introduced to social sciences in the formative years of our schooling, the very first line with which the social science was introduced to us, the first line with which history was, introduced to us, was man is a social animal. Why are we called social animals, but yet we are so different from animals? The last, this is the last demand from the speaker. All right. I'll not. I'll not trouble you by asking so many questions, or I'm not going to bombard you with a number of questions. See, we are different. We are different from animals because we are socially active, and it is the language that keeps us, that makes us unique. It is the use of words or the flow of words from our mouth that makes us different, that makes us so different. That is the distinctive feature which makes us different from animals. Moving further, moving to the to the third slide. Uh, but before I actually touch upon, I discuss this, I would like to apprise you. I'm pretty sure you all are familiar that there are
Mhm.
more than 7,000 languages in the world, maybe more than that. Maybe the data has not been updated or something. Uh, how humans initially developed language is not completely clear to us, and a lot of linguists are still carrying out researches to know the answer. So but we what we are rich with is that we have a number of languages, as I've told you, more than 7,000 or maybe more than that. So while we use language day in and day out, yet it can be accurately, yet it is seriously a mammoth's task, a difficult task, a Herculean task to define it accurately. When we use language, but when somebody asks you what is a language, you would still fumble, or you would look elsewhere to find an answer, or you would try to put the words to define it. A language is an utterance. We utter words. It is the way it is the medium through which we express. But language is essential to communicate with other individuals. It is a social matter. Why? Because we all live in society and we interact with each other. So it is not an individual, it is not an individual phenomenon. It is a social phenomenon. And to tell you, before I actually talk about what is language, I would just like to talk a little more about it. A language becomes a language for us when it has a meaning, when we can comprehend it, when we can understand it, and when it is embedded with meaning and provides channel for communication. And communication can happen only when we understand the other person. For example, what is your name? This is an encoded message because we have decided the words. What is your name? And the listener immediately answers, my name is dash dash dash. Right? So until and unless it has a meaning, it will not be, and it is not understood, it will not considered to be, of course uh, it would be uh, audible words, but we will not be able to understand if we are not familiar with the language. So, language provides channel for communication. It is one of the primary means of interaction. It is a symbol of, social solidarity and gives the impression of kinship. It allows us to establish ties. It allows us to establish relationships, and we when we talk, we make friends. When we talk, we get along with people. Well, naturally, language naturally comes to most people. uh, that is why when a child comes to life, uh, when a baby comes to life, it cries. That cry is an expression. It is a sound. It is the baby emits sound, but that sound is considered to be a code through which we understand that the baby is alive, or the baby is trying to seek the attention that I'm here, I've entered the world, and I am, I am alive, I am here. So language, that's why we say language, makes us unique, because for everything we have an expression. Coming to what is language, I think the previous speaker has already talked a lot about language, the code, symbols, and everything she's discussed. Still, I would like to throw some light on what, according to me, is language. For me, language is an important channel of communication because it contains particular signs which are shared and transferred within a particular group and its generation. I was introduced to the audience that was through words. A number of words were put to introduce me to the speaker, to the audience. So I was introduced to a particular group through language uh, and its generation to enable a coordinated community. Referring to that, humans are thoroughly language constituted beings. I heard the previous speaker saying that it is only through language that we communicate. Since I'm teaching communication to my students, so I tell them that we can communicate every moment. We communicate something to the spectators, to the listeners. When we are speaking, the listeners get the message, they receive the message. But when we are not communicating verbally, our non-verbal cues will convey things for us. For example, a complete silence will conveys lot many things. We are silent, maybe it can be inferred as we are disagreeing with somebody, or we are sad, or we are disinterested. So it can be inferred in different, it can be deciphered differently by different people. So but language is the most effective way to communicate. It is the lucid way, it is the most easiest way, it is the easiest way to be understood and to understand others. So language is a symbol, or is a system of symbols as well, which enables not only a space of communication for exchange in the way of verbal and non-verbal speaking. That is something I've explained. Now, dear learners, I would take you to I would like to cite a very simple example here. When we drive on the road or we're traveling, we see signals, green, red, yellow. Uh, Green, the lights, the traffic signal will not tell you that it's green. Hey, it's green. So you have to go. You can drive. You can go ahead. And when it is red, you have to stop. So, but these are non-verbal gestures. These are non-verbal cues which we have understood. And so we act accordingly. So, but the words, if the words are put to convey something, I think understanding can be, there are less chances of miscommunication. There are less chances we are misconstrued by the listeners. Speaking something through gestures would be a complex task, but putting the same, like you do this, it can be comprehended easily. But you try to explain things through non-verbal gestures, by the use of your hands, by the use of your eyes and your facial expressions, that would be very hard for the listener, for the observer or spectator to understand. So there are more chances that the speaker can be misunderstood. So, and if you say the same thing with by using words, things can be put in a very, very lucid manner. All right. The words put in a sentence enables cultural communities to comprehend the social reality. Now, what are these social realities? I'm sure when you all sit, you belong to different regions or different places or different spaces. You must be exchanging that a lot many things related to your customs, related to your culture, talking about the social practices, or how festivals are observed, or they are celebrated in the spaces, in your respective regions or places you come from. So when you talk about social reality, the words social reality, let me just explain what is social reality. Social reality actually means the practices and experiences of groups, or attitudes, beliefs that are held by the members of any group or any community. So when you sit together, I'm sure you must be talking about what is cooked on a particular festival, how do you celebrate a festival. So it is language that enables you to understand how festivals are celebrated, or any, for that matter, any particular or a social act is performed in your areas or in your communities. So words, language helps us to understand and to convey them more clearly. In short, the practice of language creates a certain cultural tradition, encodes a common knowledge, and allows traditional transmissions of a community by sharing knowledge to each other through communication. You, I mean, to put it in simple words, a black color, a black dress, um, in if I talk about different religions, black connotes sadness. It it also it is also it it is also deciphered as a situation of glumness, where somebody has it is a color of mourning, whereas some would consider it to be a color of confidence. For some, it is a color of authority. So we have different attachment, we attach different meanings to different things, but that varies from place to place. White in Hindu religion is not taken, of course things are changing, but white in a marriage would still be considered an odd color, though we are going for pastels. But white in the religion, in the Christian in sorry in Christianity, is something which is acceptable. A bride would be seen wearing a white gown. So you can I'm sure, I mean, these are the cultural differences which can be put across through language when you share, or they can be understood by merely by observations that come under nonverbal cues. Now, language is encoded in symbols and articulated in the form of verbal sounds. Tree, pen, pencil. So these are symbols, but we are articulating. Like, we immediately, the pen would give us an image in the mind, and we articulate an image in the mind, and or maybe it is it is other way around. We conceive the idea of a pen, the image of a pen is formulated in the mind, and then we articulate it in word. It is a domain in which we are able to describe our world and practice it in our individual perception. I don't know if the picture is visible. If you could read what I was trying to put, I've tried to put it simply in the picture too. See, hi, I want to greet somebody. So I would maybe I would greet somebody by saying namaste, or I would just wave, or I would say hi, I would say hello, I would say hola. I mean, I would be using different languages to convey what I wish to convey. The language does it all. Language is the only way we can, I mean, it is the most important, the pertinent, most pertinent method or most convincing way to communicate. Moving further, all right. Now, human beings and language. How language is related to human beings. I mean, I've already stated that man is a social being. He's a social animal, but not an animal. And why? I've already discussed. He's a social creature because he has to live in community. Uh, I've put an example here on the slide. Um, why are we social animals? Because we cannot live in isolation, because we cannot live in solitude. We live in solitude and we would act like an eccentric. We would act like a mad person. We stopped speaking, and you will find that words do not come to us very, automatically. But the more you practice, the more you talk, you will find that words come out of your mouth, they flow out of your mouth without any hindrance. Nothing impedes the flow of language, the flow of words. Uh, so, before I discuss the example, I would also like to cite, this is something I always discuss in the class, because my classes start with the importance of language as an important tool of communication. There are many people who would claim that they can manage things on their own. They love to be all by themselves. But is it a real? Is it an ultimate truth? No, it is not, because for many things we rely on external agencies. Like, if I want to shut myself in a closed room, or I claim that I have shut myself in the presence of four walls, then that would be an absolute lie, because for many things I would depend on people. For grocery, I would depend on the shopkeepers. Maybe I've glued myself to my phone, so I am relying on internet, which is being provided by somebody else. And there are many other things. For clothes, I'm relying on the other person who is providing me with the service. So can we live in isolation? No, we cannot, because for everything we depend on others. Uh, a simple example to it: a teacher depends on student, and a student depends on the teacher. Uh, and coming to the slide, for instance, I mean, a man, he is not necessary to plant in a field by himself. I'm talking about man here. A man cannot, for food, he cannot claim that he will have the field first. He will grow food, or he will grow the crop all by himself, without needing the raw material, or without needing the seeds, or without needing the water resource. Things cannot be managed or by on our own, because for many things we depend on many other agencies which complete the process. Rice planting is the farmer's business. We know it. Someone who needs rice, he can buy it. So buying, exchanging of money, the crop being cultivated, seeds, all these things go step by step. So we cannot say that we cannot live, we can live all by ourselves. So that would be a complete lie, which needs to be understood, because language enhances itself when we talk, when we interact. So human beings need a community to need a community, because we cannot live in isolation, which I've already explained. And community grows, or it exists, when language is used, because we need to talk to convey our desires and our needs, to convey what do we feel, to convey our emotions, to convey our feelings, to convey what we have inside our mind, or what are we feeling. We need language to convey the knowledge, or to get the knowledge. We need language for everything, so it is a quintessential of living. uh, in the social context, language acts as a means of creating and maintaining social relationship among speakers of the language. We cannot live alone. We cannot be loners. We need friends. And how are we going to attract people towards us? It is the language. But language cannot be understood in isolation. Language can only be achieved by viewing language through a cultural lens or a social lens. We need to use it in a community while interacting with the other dwellers of the society. In fact, language is a cultural or social, what to say, a social resource, and speaking is a social and cultural practice. Human beings are considered to be social actors because we use language, we put it into action. uh, we are viewed as social actors, and we use language to create and perpetuate cultural and social structures. But remember, language can create us, language can ruin us completely. And when I said it can be understood by cultural lens, by that I culture. What is culture? Culture is a mixture of ideas, customs, social behavior, demeanor of a particular section or society, their lifestyle, the social, the norms, the traditions, the habits, values, social beliefs shared by people in a particular time or place. So it is important that human beings need to understand the power of language. They can make us, they can break us. Moving further, moving to the next slide. uh, all right. What is society? I've talked about human beings, I've talked about culture, I've talked about community, uh, and language. There are three things I've already discussed, the three elements in the previous slide, that human beings, that I've talked about the three main components: human beings, community, and language. And I've discussed how are they closely related to each other. uh, when there are human beings in any part of the world, there will be community. Two or three people forms a group. um, so there will be a social community in which the members, the people, will use language to interact. Hence, language is not only a means to of talking, but also a means of creating and establishing a relationship. Before I discuss what is society, I would just conclude the previous slide by citing an example. uh, Suppose you are traveling, and you're traveling alone. You you I mean, you are bored, you are finding the traveling monotonous. It is becoming bored because there's no one to talk, and you have a sudden urge to talk. What would you do? You would use words which form language to interact. What is your name? Where are you going? What do you do? So how do we start how do we interact, how do we establish relationships by talking. So that could be just an acquaintance, or that can develop as a beautiful relationship, and that happens. Do not forget that we are doing all these with the help of language. So moving further, what is society? Human beings are essentially, as I've already discussed, so I'm not going to discuss it, I'm not going to delve deep into it. They are essentially social creatures with the desire and need to be in close contact with others. He needs a society to live together and share a set of norms. I've already discussed this too, to involve in some social interaction, to share. I am social interaction. I am not liking it. I like I like to eat this. I am not feeling good. I am, you know, I am very happy. I am in a state of elation. I am delighted. All these are expressions, and that's how you interact. That's how you, this expressions, this expression enables you to have a have an interaction. You have a tete-a-tete with the other person. To share a same spatial in a society. Our society places us in a same space or same social territory, where we are subjected to the same political authority, and we are dominated by the cultural limitations, by the powerful, invincible cultural expectations, because we all know that we live outside us is the contour of the culture, or the social contour, we call it. Societies are characterized by patterns of relationships between individuals who share a distinctive culture and institutions. A given society may be described as the sum total of such relationships among its constituent of members. In the social sciences, a larger society often exhibits stratification on dominance patterns in subgroups. We all know that our society is divided into a number of categories, and a number of classes: bourgeois, proletarians, upper class, lower class, middle class, and then the caste, the different categories the society has divided us into. And to tell me we all have a different expression which is governed by the society we dwell in, which is governed by the class we belong to, the classification we are part of. I will tell you how, because that comes in the next slide. Moving further, yeah, sorry. Now, talking about, I've discussed language and society separately. Now, how do they juxtapose? How do they collate? How do they meet? Language is considered to be a tool of communication. I've already talked about this, and the previous speaker has already spoken about it at length. So it is a tool of expression. It is a tool of it is a medium of communication. The actions of the society are performed with the help of it. How this is to be done? This is the I mean, there are many a times you get to hear, you must do this, you should avoid doing this, it is to be prohibited, it is to be performed, these are the rituals which are to be observed. So these are the actions which the society demands. But how are they conveyed? They are conveyed through language. uh, the action of the society, um, to put that in simple words, um, there are few words which are not to be, which we are told to there are certain practices or certain words we shouldn't be speaking, we shouldn't be using, we shouldn't be blotting them out, because they are unacceptable as per the social norms. So society tells us, it regulates our words somewhere. Society controls language by giving us preferences as what is acceptable and what is not. It also makes human beings understand the importance of how, when, where to say, and for what. Language tells us what is the appropriate time to speak something, what is the purpose of speaking, when is it to be stated, when are you supposed to refrain from speaking. So you get all these things because our words, our vocabulary, our language is governed by society. So our words are actually conditioned by society. And I'll tell, and it's not that the language does not govern the society. It is both ways, and I'll discuss that in the next slide. Now, language has, we all know that language has cultural connotations, without knowing which communication may become challenging. For example, language, what do we mean by language barrier? When language is not understood, or when there is some word like to share with you. Some time back, a day before, I asked a student to make a presentation, because I'm discussing presentation skills with them. So I was just telling them to I asked them to get a presentation and make it, deliver it in the class. And he started, and I told him to do it, to make it on any topic of his choice. So he made it on a singer who used a lot of f word in his songs. So I mean, because presentations are always formal, and it was happening in front of the class. So I told him to be a little mindful of the words. I told him to be a little sensitive in choosing the topic, and a little wise in choosing the topic, and also to understand where, what is the venue, and what is the what is the purpose of of giving presentation or making presentation. So we need to understand this. Language influences society, but society also influences language. There are few things which are not acceptable when we are under a formal setup, or when the groups are not, they are there is the presence of age difference in the two groups that are exchanging, they're exchanging information or emotions or feelings or ideas. So language and society, in the next slide we are going to talk a little more about how language and society influence each other, and how they are in constant interaction with each other. So moving to the next slide. I don't know if, okay, all right. Now language and society, a little more about it. uh, Language is by far the most, what have we discussed so far? This is what I've put it, I've summed it up in these four boxes. So language is by far the most powerful and flexible medium of communication, and human beings possess the method of using and applying language accordingly in their everyday life. Therefore, without communication, a living within a group cannot exist. We have already talked about it. So, language as verbal interactions is a social practice in which utterance are selected in accordance with socially recognized rules and expectations. And a while ago, I discussed the example. Moving to the next slide, I think I've already discussed that, so I'm not going to discuss it again. Now, society and language influence each other. There are two views here. One is more extreme than the other. There is the first idea is that language is so powerful that society gets swayed by it, and it actually affects the society. The second is society influences the way we think and behave, which emerges in the form of language. We all know that, uh, I mean, language, we how language influences society. For that, I've one example. I mean, there are a number of examples, but I would like to seek direct your attention to the dreadful phase of COVID-19. How language, affects society. Language, during the COVID phase, we got to learn new words, which I've put in the picture. If you could read: isolate yourself, COVID-19, coronavirus, or the curve, it has started flattening. You need to maintain social distancing. People have been quarantined. India has gone for complete lockdown. Positivity has taken took a new a shape in COVID-19. We never wanted to be positive. We always, we always tell everybody we need to be positive in our approach. But testing positive was something which scared us to death. Stay home, stay safe, use hand sanitizers, wash your hands often. Curfew has been imposed. There's a virus outside your house. Stay inside, shelter in place, test. He has been tested positive. So these are the words which emerge in our society during that phase. Likewise, there are so many other. I mean, we only talked about that, and when we heard the news, we opened, or we I mean, that was the time we all were glued to the televisions, the news. What is the death toll? How many people have been they have contracted this disease? How many have recovered? What is the rate of recuperation? What are the side effects? So, I mean, we were only thinking about these words. So in a way, these words have emerged because, these words start had impacted our society. Wear mask, all these words became very essential part of our society. Now, uh, moving to the second point, how society influences language. Society influences I'm sure you know that there are a number of words which are becoming redundant with time. For example, if you read Shakespeare's dramas, you will come across various words which are obsolete, which are not to be used, which have become redundant with time. For example, we would prefer using dog and not cur. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing cur as cur, so that you can understand it. Cur is cur, which means dog. So we would prefer using dog and not cur. We would prefer using chest and not bosom. But if you would read Shakespeare's drama, you will find he often uses he's often used the word bosom. Or coming to another word, die, thine, thee. These are the words which are becoming obsolete with time. So we prefer using you, yours, your, rather than these words. Or, you know, and new words are come emerging. Uh, because, with time we change, and every day we learn new language. Language is evolving. That is why it is considered to be a dynamic phenomenon. So we another word which Shakespeare used to use for brightness, for glitter, he would use glistry. But we don't use it anymore. So with time, as society grows, the words become redundant. We add new words. For example, the other day my daughter was telling me, she said, "Mama, give me tea." I said she was talking about she wanted to have tea. So I said, "Do you want more? Do you want it to be more sweet?" She said, "No, I'm not talking about tea. Tea means gossip." So new words are emerging in. New acronyms are, coming into our life, and we are so comfortable with them. ASAP, P. So as soon as possible has, we are using short forms because the time is running. Time is money, and we are, switching on to the shortcuts. We do not want to waste time on things. Even in writings, between is written as B oblique W. All right, another example, how society influences language, because society conditions our mind. If you could see three words on the screen: chairman, fireman, and farmer, uh, they would make us feel that we are talking about man or men and not about women. So the theory of language, the theory is that language, you know gives different views. Looking at these words, we have a view that, the words are referring to men and not women, because and the words are treating women differently, or the words are indifferent to women. If we use the word chairman or fireman, it implies only men do the job and not women, and women means and it means that women are left out. So it can be taken in any way. So in place of chairman, we use chairperson, so that it sounds gender neutral. And it is worth noting, though, that the form of the word can influence our views of things. If you see the word farmer, we would again have the notion that farming can be done only by men, and that is why the farmer, the one who cultivates crop, or produces the crop, works on the land, tills the land, is supposed to be a man. And so immediately we get a picture of man and not a woman, because of the form of the word. Another feature of language is that you relating to these words is, you feel that women are completely excluded. The use of word him refers to, we relate it with man and not women. That is what we have learned under the masculine and feminine. But there are few words, we there are some changes taking place in books where him oblique her has started showing itself, so that it sounds, gender neutral. It does not tilt towards a particular towards a particular gender. So language is, it is influenced by society, the way society thinks. The As society moves, as society accelerates, the things also, language also changes itself. Moving to the next slide. Now, to what extent does society influence language? It influences, I've already discussed this. Language by itself makes only sense when it is considered together with society, because these two units are intertwined, and they coexist. They cannot put out of one's context. Culture of any society has a generational domain of verbal and non-verbal practice, in which social beings are able to communicate. Language is a condition of society in a diachronic way, because it is mostly through language that we can learn about society, we can learn about culture, which I've already explained. So language is an essential part of society. A society is an essential part of language. Now, but how does how do they work? Language in a society grows, and a society evolves with the help of language by following uh, two simple steps. It borrows, it borrows and it coins new words. It borrows new words from the other world, from the other spaces, and it coins them in the language. uh, you must have heard, due to cultural contact, not only we have hybrid cultural existence, but we have melting pot which is taught in diaspora, a melting pot where two different worlds merge. When they merge, the linguistic experience also enriches. They learn they learn different languages. They borrow new words. For example, I'll just do this small exercise. The word anonymous, which is very often used in English, is not an English word. We have borrowed it from Greek, but we have coined it in English a language. Loot is a Hindi word, but we have coined it with an ease in English language. Guru is a Sanskrit word. We are using it in Hindi. Safari is an Arabic word. We are using it in in English. Cigar is a Spanish word, but very comfortably we use it in English language. Cartoon is not an English word, it is an Italian word, but we have borrowed it and we have placed it in English language. So because we are, and that's how language, that's how language grows. That's how we give new dimension to language, and that's how we live the credo that language is dynamic. Language, the borrowing and coining makes language fluid because it changes as speakers produce new forms and abandon old ones. As I've already discussed the example, I've already cited Shakespeare. As a result of this, language has evolved, and it is evolving, and it is diverging over time. There's another example to it. uh, Language is, you must have heard the word CV, curriculum vitae, resume, and biodata. Biodata is a word we are not using anymore. So, in place, biodata has been replaced by resume or CV. If it is America, America is asking for CVs and not resumes. And India is in a dilemma what to use, resume or CV. I'll not get into this. So, this is um this is how language evolves. Now, how language is used in literature, how it impacts society, because I have to discuss the social change. This picture uh, is, I'm sure it takes all of us to the past when India was struggling for independence, when we were fighting for our independence, and we were shouting slogans, we were meeting, we were having we were having long meetings, we were having processions, we were having mob marching and all those things. But what goes behind this? Language. Language unites us. What do you think must have brought the people together? How people must have, or revolutionaries must have gathered the crowd? How must they have instilled consciousness in the people to fight for their cause, to fight for, to demand their independence, to ask for their independence? That was language, that was literature, that was writing. And writing and speaking requires language, because we need to put our mind, our ideas, our opinions, our desires and demands, our needs in the form of words. So literature, coming to use of language in literature, we all know language mirrors society. Language is takes enables us to have rendezvous with society, with the social realities, with social problems, with social tribulations. It enables us to understand the issues related to society, the grave social situations, political, economic, moral. All these are put in literature by through the medium of language. A language gives depth to human emotions and behavior. Language allows us to challenge, to pose a threat to the most prominent beliefs, which need to be purged off from the society, to examine how what are the living patterns, what is the lifestyle, and it gives deep meaning to the situations. Language literature uses language to underscore the predicaments of the marginalized, the browbeatens. Language used in literature acts as a tool of propaganda, and use of fiction and poetry for a patriotic purpose, or to create a nationalist discourse or a social consciousness in the readers, that all these happens through language. And why article 377 has been decriminalized in India, it is through the power of words. We spoke, we raised our voice, and so we saw a change. Moving And these are the seven novels which I could only put these, which played a vital role in instilling national consciousness in its people. Moving to the next slide. Literature, why, how words are weapons, how words can be used as weapons, because they are exceptionally powerful force available to humanity. No can be, we can say no with assertion, we can say no emphatically. We can say no to any practice, and if we keep saying no, that practice is become, we seek attention of people, and that's how we we explain ourselves that this requires to be purged off from the society. So words are powerful. We never used to talk about transgenders, we never talked about hijras, we never talked about kinnars, we always looked down upon these. But language has started changing us. We have started talking about them. We have started talking about the wrong society is doing to them, the way people are mocking at them. Through words, we are trying to demarcate what is the right and the wrong, what is to be negated and what is to be purged off from the society. Looking at the second picture, that second picture is of a Dalit, a girl, a child, a girl herself, a child herself, holding a child, because we all know that Dalits are, they are doubly marginalized. They are combating various social evils. But how do we know this? This is through language. This is through words that a discourse is taking place. Adivasis are catching our attention. We are again talking about them. But how are we talking? How are we raising voice against the wrong that is being done to them? Through language, through words. So this is the power of words. But the need is to understand how powerful words are. Power of language, what happens when the voice is in some way silenced? The voice, of course, marginalized people are getting voice, but that we are giving them voice, we are giving voice to the unvoiced through language. Many people use language to talk to people, to communicate their needs and wants. But the idea of voice goes much deeper. Having a voice uh, gives an individual agency and power and a way to express his or her beliefs. The role of language is to highlight reality, and this is what literature, our newspapers are doing. They are trying to bring out, they are trying to bring to surface reality by writing or by talking, by asserting them in the on the public forum, in the public platform, hence becoming the voice of voiceless. Language does not become sorry Language does not become language unless it becomes the voice of the voiceless. We have a great responsibility of bringing forth the voices of marginalized and deprived community. But how? Through language. So, language is instrumental in bringing a social change. We need to use words wisely, rightly, correctly, so that language conveys meaning. It conveys meaning by directing our attention to the virtues and vices of mankind. That's how, that's why, we raised our voice. Voice means language. We spoke, we showed our dissent through words, and that's why we are still, dowry, we are still combating against dowry, but somewhere you can see the change. Sati is not in practice. Somewhere it must be, I don't know, but officially it is, it is out of the sight. Widow remarriage is not a new concept now, because widows are getting, they are getting married again. We are allowing them to get married again. We are talking about triple talaq. We are talking about hijab row. We are talking about marital rapes. We are raising voice against the social shenanigans. We are talking about these anomalies, and I'm sure we can see this change if we raise our voice. Social media, Twitter, newspapers, literature, etc., are completely at it. Moving to this. How powerful words can be. Now, here, after talking, I know I go a little intense when I talk about social issues, but I hope I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, very clear.
All right. There's something I would ask my audience. I know the time must be up. There's a small exercise after which I'm concluding. How powerful from a specific concept, I've come to a general concept to make you understand how powerful words can be. These are three sentences. Uh, I would just take 2 minutes. I would just ask you to take 2 minutes to work on these and remove the negative word from it without changing the meaning of the sentence, making them positive in connotation. The first sentence is, you failed, missed to give us the fabric of the furniture you ordered. Smoking is not permitted anywhere except the lobby. We cannot deliver the consignment until Friday. So these are the three negative situations. If any of you could work on these three situations, on either of these, and give me an answer where you can express the same without using a negative word. Anyone? Any of your choice. No one? All right. I just wanted you to exercise on this, just practice this. The importance of this activity was to make you understand that there are many a times, we do not understand that we offend people by putting by stating something negatively. If the same situation can be put in a positive way, for example, this one, smoking is not permitted anywhere except the lobby. If in place of this, you could state this, that smoking is only permitted in the lobby, that would be better, where we can do away with the words no, not, cannot, do not, would not, and things like that. We cannot deliver the consignment until Friday. The consignment would be ready by Friday. So, I mean, there are ways we put it. There are many a times we would write and we don't understand that how are we writing. We forget the, the courtesy, the importance of courtesy in the language. And if we do it, our words can do wonders. Nobody can stop us from being effective communicators, because we would understand how to use our words positively and how to use them sensitively. Moving and concluding by taking you to the this how do we I would like to conclude by discussing the use of language. Language can be expressive, language can be directive, where we give commands, where we give directions, where we give suggestions. It can be informative, where we exchange ideas, where we exchange information. I've discussed that language can be instrumental in giving voice to the unvoiced. And when we talk about them, we tend to bring a social change, because before until and unless we give them voice, nobody would know them, nobody would even peep into their world. So we need to put a word for them. If we'll do that, our society will certainly think about the wrong being done to them, and so a social change can be seen. Language is important for individuals and development, because it opens new vistas for career, it opens new vistas for jobs, and it can have multiple uses where we can it can have multiple uses where we can we can convey ourselves through non-verbal cues, through our gestures, through our body language, supplemented by words. And to conclude, I would like to conclude by saying language connects. It connects us to the world as well as with our inner self. The ability to use language effectively governs almost everything in our life, from our personal to social life. Uh, language does it all. Language is the ultimate tool, but the need is to understand how important it is for us to use it correctly, wisely, and sensitively, but with an aim to bring a change, be it in our personal life or in the social sector. With this, I would like to conclude. I hope I'm here.
Yeah, you're quite audible, ma'am.
All right, all right.
So,
Uh,
so I'm just opening the house for discussion and questions. So your questions are most welcomed. You may proceed.
Excuse me, ma'am. I have a question. I just want. I'm teaching in MBA for MBA classes, and my problem. I belong from Uttar Pradesh and the north region of this India. There we have seen the influence of local language while speaking English. So just I want a help from you, ma'am. I have heard of the full session. Both of you, the speakers, are very good. Now I just want a help from you that how can I solve their influence while speaking in English? It's their native accent. while speaking in English, their accents seems like their local language, and
All
I just
right.
improve that in
Yeah.
my
All
student.
right. Rubina ma'am, I've also come across such problems. You know, accent is something uh, which, I mean, which is so natural when a speaker speaks. Uh, but we really cannot do much about it until and unless the learners themselves are ready to, sound a little different from their accent. If they really want to work on their accent, it's a matter of expression that is more important. If they are able to convey the meaning, they are able to convey their thoughts, their feelings. uh, I mean, the accent can somewhere be accommodated. But if their words, their voice, due to the accent, due to that particular accent, is jarring upon, or it is adding to the confusion, then certainly the matter needs a serious attention. But I would only suggest that they must be determined to do away with, to lighten this way of their accent by practicing more. They need a lot of practice because, accent, by teaching them to speak in English, they will not do away with their native expression in a day or two or three. Or, it needs lot of practice, it needs lot of time, and it needs lot of determination. Only if a learner is ready to bring a change in the way he puts across in the accent, only then I think we can tackle this situation. Otherwise, there is no other way. uh you would be surprised. There are many, I've come across many speakers who are so good with the language, and still you would find, their that accent making way into their expression. But you really cannot do anything about it. It automatically comes. We adopt it so swiftly, so quickly, that it becomes a natural part of your delivery. For example, when we go to, suppose we move abroad, we stay there for not more than 2 years. We get we adopt that change, we embrace that change, and for some time we speak in that language. So what we hear around, we get so accustomed to that accent. So that becomes a natural part of your delivery. And I think only with when you conscientiously use a particular accent, only then you can do away with a native language. Otherwise it cannot be done away with. I hope I could be of some help.
Yes, ma'am, because they are future managers and they do realize their mistakes, and they think that, ma'am, we are lacking with this language. And somewhere when we are facing the interview, this type of things are influence, and it is becoming a minus point in their interview. So they are asking me. So I tried
All
to
right.
make them some exercises in the class, but still I thought you people are you people are so good with your words. So might be it will
Uh,
be helpful for you also.
all right, ma'am. Actually, teaching is very challenging. We get to, we encounter different experiences. We have different experiences in the class, and I mean, I'm no different in, having such experience. But you really need to correct them when they are trying to put across their thoughts in a particular accent. You need to correct them that do not exaggerate it more, or open your mouth to such an extent, or this is how it has to be delivered. Only then I think where you correct them often, when you correct them often, they will understand that this is how it has to be pronounced, or this is how it has to be delivered. And another thing, ma'am, you were talking about interviews. I think, of course, accent fluency matters, but also the content matters. If they know how to deliver it effectively, assertively, and emphatically, clearly, succinctly, I think half of the battle will be won. So tell them that content is also important, but yes, they need to speak consciously. So this is how it can be done.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank